Morning guys, Mon here. Today we're taking a look at the 0.1.1 patch notes. I have read through them already and copied them into a Word document and highlighted a couple of stuff, either red, green or yellow, depending on how I think this plays out. So let's just go over it. I will summarize the things and explain something about it. So let's just take a look here. First thing is we're getting new tower areas. We'll have to see how those plays out. Generally, I do like more variety, and I think everybody does, so overall a good change. If there are good tower maps, we will have to see. Also, the current Lost Tower map has been revamped, so we pretty much have 5 new tower maps. Then, the Arbiter of Ash now has 6 portals, reduced by 1 per difficulty. Probably just says reduced per difficulty, but probably just 1 less portal per difficulty, but we'll have to see how exactly that plays out. This is a thing that will be introduced to all of the Pinnacle bosses over time. They just didn't get to the others yet, so Arbiter is the first one. Then we've got a couple of changes to the Arbiter, to how it seems to be, to first of all make it a little bit better for minion skills, so that minions don't just die all the time and can deal a little bit more damage. And then they reduce the damage the boss takes at the very beginning of the fight, so that it probably is not as easy to one-shot it straight away, but we'll have to see how this plays out tomorrow, so yeah. Check that out. Then we've got checkpoints to the map areas, very, very good, pretty much the same as in the campaign. This will reduce backtracking by a lot. They buffed, overall buffed bad maps a little bit with more, with more monsters generally. They made that citadels can spawn closer to the Ziggurat Refugee. This mostly is due to the fact that at some point you just lose orientation of where you actually are going. So when you would travel downwards and then go a circle and end up too close to the refugee, you can go through the fog of war without seeing your refugee and without encountering any citadels for quite a long time. So they reduce the radius there. It is still, you have to go further away, but then you'll just find the citadels a little bit earlier. And also, we will see the citadels now. They did show that in the trailer, so if you haven't seen that, I would check it out. Citadels gonna be a lot more visible on the map itself. Then maps now display the biome when hovered in the Atlas UI. This only is important for the Atlas Keystone that gives specific biomes different reward types, like more currency or more items, whatever. Then we have a new tablet that adds map bosses. Actually, this should be green as well. It's extremely good, but yeah, we'll have to see how those play out, but should be very, very good. Pretty much depends on how often these drop. Then map areas have been adjusted to have more distinct specialties for the content they contain. This pretty much just says that smaller maps have less monsters in it, but more essences, for example. And that bigger maps have more pack size in them. It's very much that, but a little bit more complex. So generally you will just see more stuff in your maps and the maps will feel less empty. Then highlight areas will have more magic monsters, fewer rare monsters, pretty irrelevant. This mostly is due to a tactic where you would just enter a hideout and kill all the rares and then get out again to just farm rares, but pretty irrelevant overall. It wasn't all that important. Untainted Paradise has about 4 times more rare mobs in there. Maybe this is applied, maybe this is amplified by the other changes, but we will see. Overall, Untainted Paradise better than before. Shrines should be better, reduce damage scaling of monsters in Simulacrum encounters with added difficulty. Simulacrums will be a little easier. They were really, really difficulty before, so overall we have a lot of Simulacrum and Delirium changes, so Delirium will be a lot better than before, and it was very good already. I was farming a lot of Delirium. Then we have just more bosses overall, so more maps on the Atlas have bosses in them. This is due to, it should have been 1 in 4 already, but some maps just don't have a map boss, like the Slick map just doesn't have a map boss, so when this map rolled for a boss, it just didn't appear, and well, that screws with your totals. So then bosses drop a couple less waystones overall. So they give us more bosses, but reduce the waystone sustain per boss. So overall, we will just see pretty much the same if you are going for a lot of bosses. Then a couple of changes that just reflect that, just less waystones per boss, more bosses overall should be good. Then again, Delirium, we are getting more splinters from Delirium map bosses, from Delirium bosses. This is complete. I mean, I highlighted the screen, but technically this is pretty relevant because previously Breach Delirium bosses would drop 2 splinters. With the node, they drop 3, and now they drop 4. So you technically, out of higher to choose Delirium maps, you get 2 more splinters out of the map because you have 2 bosses in them. I mean, it's 1.5x salt per map buff, pretty much, something like that. So, yeah, kind of irrelevant, but it is there. They nerfed Breach a little bit, but this should turn out very, very much irrelevant. Because Breach, as they showed in the livestream, already had way too many monsters, so they just didn't spawn all the monsters, so you should see no difference with this change. Then increased amount of simulacrum spinners by 20%, just more simulacrum spinners are very good. Though might drop the price down of the splinters, so while you get more splinters, they might be worth less. We will have to see how the economy adapts there. Then we have art for Delirium on Waystones, pretty relevant. Crisis fragments and stuff like that, more gold, completely irrelevant. We get more zoom on the Atlas, this is pretty good. Controller players did already have this, so this is just for mouse and keyboard. Then we've got a couple of skill changes. Supercharged Slam looks like a nerf, but from the comments I've read on Reddit, this seems to be very, very much irrelevant because you just don't get to the amount of stacks you need for this to be relevant. I haven't played the skill, so I don't know, but this seems very irrelevant overall. Scavenge Plating got a buff, so we have more armor from this. If you're utilizing this, you get the stacks faster against strong enemies. This pretty much just says that the Lightning Bolt skill from Cry of the Storm will be less frequent, but deals more damage. And Temporalis cannot reduce cooldowns below 100 milliseconds. This is pretty much exactly what I said what happened in the patch, so there it is. So very, very much not surprised here. Overall, these builds should still be very viable. 100 milliseconds cooldown still is 10 casts per second. Down from 30 casts, depending on the server tick rate, because it is assumed that we have a 33 server tick rate, and now it triggers every 3rd tick instead of every tick. Pretty much just that's just better for the server. And it cannot trigger itself, but without with the cooldown restriction, it would not be able to do so anyway, so this part very much is relevant. Then we have skill socket and emitter. Gem sockets cannot longer gain energy, and the gain should probably say generate energy, because what this says is that when we, for example, the loop that was getting popular very lately was a curse with Burning Ground. And this Burning Ground, if it's triggered by a meta skill, cannot generate more energy. So this again nerfs outer loopers with energy again a bit. Then Vine Arrow, I don't know, and the Aura and Pain Offering should not really do much. Then we have monster changes. There's a lot in here, a lot of specifics, but the couple things I highlighted as monster have increased toughness per essence modifier affecting them. This might be very, very strong. However, we don't exactly know how much it is, because compared to Path of Exile 1, essences just don't exist. Like, the mob spawns and we kill it. Like, it doesn't really have any life. So essences overall will be a little bit more tanky. We don't know how much, so I highlighted yellow yet, because we just cannot say if it's like really, really dangerous or they are really tanky. No, we will see. Then reduce how often prowling shades can use their invisibility skill. Very important, especially when this one is a rare. You often just missed it when went invisible. You said, okay, if there's no enemy left, just move on, and later on you see, well, this rare was missing. So this should make it a little better to kill those. Terminal Risen King Zombies can no longer spontaneously explode in death. This is very important, especially for the Uber variant for the fragments, where you could just delete the boss and then die to the explodes. This should not happen anymore, but we'll see how it plays out. Then we've got elemental explosions caused by minions' death, or those periodically cast by rare monsters have had their visuals effect improved, so just better visuals. Energy shield modifiers on monsters now provide far more sensible levels of energy shield. This pretty much says the monsters have less energy shield if they have the mod for energy shield. Then socket abilities such as runes can now be overwritten. This is very important, especially because it says socket abilities such as runes. This includes soul cores from the wording, so we can override soul cores and runes in gear. Very, very good change here, especially for changing pieces and then quickly adopt your resistances, because now with without corruptions you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without a shield, 5 sockets for resistances. So with 12% resistance runes, you have 60 elemental resistance that you can freely adapt depending on what you need right now. So you can way more freely change out gear in the earlier stages. This will be much more important for early game in the next leagues, but now is good as well, especially when buying items. You don't have to care if the item got a bad rune in it or something. Then armor has been made better. Together with the improved plating, so that might be noticeable. Armor, I do think, still is in a bad spot, but it should be slightly better. Monsters are now able to be pushed while dodge rolling. This generally applies to monsters smaller than a skeleton. So what this says is that you can roll through smaller enemies better, so you are not surrounded as easily. Objects such as delirium shards can no longer be pushed by other monsters. This combined would reduce the chance. No, with the other delirium changes. Where is it? Actually, I don't know. We'll see. But generally, objects such as delirium shards can no longer be pushed by other monsters. This should reduce like the push effect in delirium. So this is a very, very good change. Reduce the chance for items to roll some of the less desirable item modifiers. This should just result in slightly better items overall. I don't know why this is in here twice. Then we have improved the loading time of world map. Very, very good. We will see how much the improvement is, but overall the load time need to be gone. Like, there should not be a load time for the world map, especially because I am pressing you all fucking day and I'm stuck in the loading screen all the time, so I'm very, very much annoyed by it. I hope this reduces the load time by a lot, but we will see. We got the Gambler in our hideout. This is big, reviving minions that died from being out of range of you now instead immediately revive near you. I didn't get that sentence right, but pretty much what it says is that when you run out of the range of a minion, they die and then instantly respawn at your location. This should make minion play much less bad. should feel a lot better to play with minions and have decent speed, especially with skills like Blink, where you would just blink and all your minions just vanish. So it should be better now. Then monster can no longer spawn near the close to the entrance of the very, very strange sentence actually. Monster can no longer spawn close to the entrance of the map. This often caused the player to be immediately attacked upon moving. This was very, very annoying for me, because especially with Flicker Strike I do have to gain charges first, so enemies instantly attacking was very, very bad for me. I do like this change a lot. Delirium monsters are no longer untargetable during their emerge animation. As a result, they should no longer push you during this time again. They don't push you and you can kill them instantly. This is very, very important. Should make Delirium a lot less dangerous without having counterplay. Attack in place, stop movement option no longer prevents walking on skill that can be used while moving while using WASD. What this means is when you had a fireball, for example, which you can use while moving and put on the always attack in place, it would cast whenever you click the button, but it would interrupt your movement. And this is removed. This can be important for skills that need to target something, because when you click something and it's not in range, or it is like the view is obstructed or something, you could just not cast, and with this option you can cast and still move. This is very good. Unique item changes, there's a lot, and most of these are irrelevant. I did highlight a couple of them. There are some that might be interesting, like it's Acuity with higher crit, but generally the ones I highlighted are the most important things, I do think. Breastdome is slightly better, or a lot better, but might still be bad, so we'll have to see, but Breastdome might be able to use it with some kind of character now, instead of just never. Then Defiance of Destiny is slightly better, recovers more missing health when hit, so should be a lot better against small hits now. Maybe even to the point where you want to use it on some characters, but still not a very good amulet. Then we've got Original Sin, no longer has Chaos Resistance 0 and instead now provides 17 to 23 Chaos Resistance. On a good roll, because it is on an Amethyst base, this means that this ring has about 30 Chaos Resistance now on a good roll. Makes Original Sin a lot better. Still, I don't think it is very, very good due to how conversion now works and you not being able to utilize the ring really to what it was used in Path of Exile 1, but if you want to do chaos damage, you now can with the Original Sin. Painter's Servant kind of got highlighted by Reddit, though I do think they still are very bad. But they do provide no resistances anymore, but elemental damage or extra gained damage, like elemental damage gained as fire damage, as cold damage, and as lightning damage. So you pretty much can gain up to 30% elemental damage as type of a different element, though this well, if you don't understand why this is bad or not good, you should read into how conversions now work into Path of Exile 2, because that's too complex to cover in this video. So then Titan Rod pretty much is the most important thing here, I do think. It now gives up to 30% increased strength and has higher armor, so with a good corruption, this thing can have respectable armor values and up to 36% increased strength, which is pretty good. Though we do not really have support for pure strength stackers yet, so it will still be overshadowed by Morris Invictus. But might be an interesting piece if we get more support for pure armor, for pure strength stacking. Wonder Trap Unique Boots just got buffed throughout, so you just can get better versions of these, 5% on all the stats, 5 more movement speed, 5 more of the attributes. Overall, very, very good leveling boots if you have good versions of these, especially for these stacking characters. Then we have bug fixes. There's a lot here, and I just highlight a couple I think are important. Fix the bug where you could briefly be unable to perform any skill you tried to interact with an object and dodge roll at the same time. So sometimes you would dodge roll and then cannot attack. I had this kind of often with my flicker strikes and with my auto attacks. So this did result in a couple of deaths for me in Breach, which was annoying, but this should make it a lot better now. Then we've got fix the bug preventing the quality bonus on shock burst rounds and hailstorm rounds from applying. I do actually not know how much this is, but for those that play these skills, it might be an important change. So I highlighted it because I do think stuff like quality bonus is very important on some skills. Fix a bug where Shockwave Totem did not work when used with Support Gem Ancestral Projection. So this is an option now to use Shockwave Totem with Astral Projection now. Haven't played the build, but might be important for some. Then a lot of client fixes and stuff like that. A lot of bug fixes for performance and audio. Then fix the bug where allocating Chaos Inoculation would incorrectly count as being low life. This is a nerf to those that were utilizing this interaction, but it obviously was bugged, so it was just obviously would get nerfed. Fix the bug with dodge roll, which allowed the player to roll through bone walls and frost walls. This very likely appeared due to the reduction in size from the dodge roll of one of the patches very early, which allowed us to dodge out of bone walls and frost walls. Notably in the Mistress of Draven and the Count Geonov fight, those utilize bone walls and frost walls to limit the player area and then slam down attacks. So you know now will have to destroy these barriers to get out of the attacks and not just dodge through the terrain. This is very important and might make these fights a little bit more dangerous. Then there's a lot of other fixes and microtransactions. I think well, a lot more microtransactions are available now, and yeah, I do like microtransactions, so we'll check those out in the next days and see how these look on our characters. So if you want to see that, stay tuned and join onto the stream. And then pretty much the last thing we do have here is that the map and Waystone stash tabs is not yet included. They haven't been able to finish it, and it will be included in a later patch. So this pretty much sums everything up. I've very much blitzed through these, and it still is a 20-minute video, so yeah. If you have any questions about these or something wasn't clear, feel free to drop a comment and ask. I will try to explain everything. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one.